Maybe some of you guys can actually put it on the chat and tell me if you know where Minicoy is. Yeah. So if you go, it is Minicoy. It's part of India. And also let me know how you get there. Okay. So if you guys know the answer, please put it on the chat. So let me just play this video. This was a trip that we did, an Aquanaut trip, or rather we call it Aqua Journeys, that we did in 2019, just before COVID. 2019 November is when we did it, around Rajotsava Day, around November 1st. So have a look at the video. It's a short 2.5 minute video, and then I will talk more about what we and Aquanaut and we at Aquanaut do. All right. Okay, let me go to them. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that. So that was shot. That was shot in Minicoy Island. It was a group of around 20 of us. Actually, we were 20 of us, 17 adults and 3 kids. There was a whole big group that went to Minicoy. Now, Minicoy is an island of India. It's a part of Lakshadweep. It's the farthest island from mainland India. It's the farthest island in the atoll of the Lakshadweep atoll itself. So the only way to get there is by ship. So you have these huge passenger ships that go across from Cochin. So you fly to Cochin, and then you get on this massive passenger ship. It's not really open to tourism in the sense, not many people have even heard of Minicoy, to be very honest. So it's just regular people going to work, coming to Cochin, coming for medical stuff to Kerala, and then going back. So we, of course, we were a big dive group, which they had actually not heard of. Not many people go there on such a dive trip, but then we planned something like that. And Minicoy is also famous for the wrecks. There was many couple of years back. There was an entire series on a couple of episodes on NDTV, which they had done a very beautiful coverage of the different wrecks, the British fleets that have sank in and around Minicoy. Of course, many of them are not in intact condition; they've become rubble underwater. But yeah, they were very famous for all the many ships that went down for whatever reason in Minicoy. Um, digressing a bit, but very interesting fact about Minicoy is that it's a matriarchal society. Everything is run by women, which is why it is fabulously run. I think women should just run the whole world, man. It will be fine. So yeah, matriarchally run, fabulously maintained. They took care of us like their family, absolutely excited to see us, almost like foreigners coming from the cool Bangalore. And they were so excited to kind of show us their villages and show us the diving spots and all of that. So yeah, it's definitely, I would again suggest you guys, if you guys ever go diving or non-diving as well, if you guys love to travel, you guys should keep Minicoy as one of your destinations to visit. It's really cutaway, unknown, and not much of information available online. So we kind of very proud of the fact that we did that trip. Not many dive companies do that. We were, I think, the one of the first ones to actually crack a 20 people diving trip to Minicoy. Yeah. So now going back to my story, as you see, as Sharon was saying, I was always interested in sports, and I've played sports all my life. It's a different thing that I look like a ball at the moment, but I used to play a lot of basketball at some point of time. And yeah, so I think diving was almost natural that, I kind of always was very intrigued and interested in the sport. Of course, with National Geographic and Discovery Channel, and you see all those videos, so I always wanted to try it. And it was just pure coincidence, when I got married, my wife's childhood buddy, friend, owned a dive shop in the Andamans. And it was so lovely of him to actually host us, saying, listen, you guys, as your part of your honeymoon, come over to the Andamans and you guys can sign up for a dive course. Uh, but it is not as simple as that because it was quite stressful. The first time you go there and you're trying scuba, not knowing what to expect, right? So you just go in and it was not, I mean, it was a little bit of a stress for us, but anyway, we did it, whatever we did it. Yeah, so it was basically, we wanted to get away. The Andaman Islands in 2000, this is in 2009, absolutely pristine, not at all commercial, very few dive shops. So to give you an understanding, there were 4 dive shops in the Andamans in Havelock Island. Today there are, I think, around 45. So we were privileged, to get to that time, and it was absolutely pristine, clean, just magical. Yeah. So and we just loved that whole experience of just getting out. Everything is very rustic, very ingrained in nature and all of that. So yeah, so that's fortunately I have a wife who loves all of this as well. So we we traveled and we did this whole dive course, and then of course, I'm not saying everybody would feel the same way like I did, but I was just hooked onto it. I said I need to keep going back, I need to keep traveling more, I need to keep diving more and all of that. And yeah, so then I went back to the Andamans couple of times, just with maybe once I went with another buddy just to dive more in the Andamans. And the Andamans is absolutely stunning in the sense. So to picture this, you've got dense rainforests on one side, white sands, and then you've got these magical blue waters. That the blue is surreal. Okay, it's something else, out of one of these postcard kind of thing. Yeah, so I just kept going back. I did a lot of diving there. I did a lot of courses there, and took complete advantage of my wife's friend who kept, he was happy that I was going back as well. And then, like true to style, like any, people ask me, which is the people ask you always, which is your best dive site, in the world, which is the best one you've done. It's, I always give them the same answer, which is which is the world's best forest according to you? Every forest has its own unique features, unique species of creatures, whether it's the flora, whether it's the fauna, everything is different. Likewise with the oceans. So every dive site is different, and the same dive site can be different on an every on another dive. So you can't really pinpoint and say this is the best one. So having said that, I traveled to Philippines, I traveled to the Great Barrier Reef, went to Indonesia, went to Thailand. So all of these places, and you keep looking for different kind of things. Some of the places are really famous for their wrecks, like I was saying. Some of the are really famous for their pelagics, which are the big stuff like your sharks and your rays, and some are famous for whales, and some are just famous for the absolutely macro stuff, which is your sea slugs and the colorful critters that you see. And so it is absolutely limitless. The oceans are absolutely limitless, and as you keep diving, each one finds their own reason why they want to keep diving. Sometimes it is just, and to me, after all these dives, to me personally, it is just that peace and quiet, that bloop 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 bloop. That's it. Underwater, for me, that's absolutely peaceful, and that's like almost like a meditation, in some sort of sense. So yeah, so that is what I really look forward to. I don't never come back from a dive unhappy saying, oh, I didn't see that and I didn't see this. And honestly, not many people, after many dives, you realize, like, this is what it is. It's about the peace and quiet. Yeah, so each one finds their reason. I'm not saying that everyone is as yogic as me. I'm not getting into that. But so you will find your reason. So yeah, then I kind of started doing certifications, because as you start getting into the sport, you start understanding, how your body reacts, how the oceans are. It's the science, it's the physiology, it's the physics, it's the biology, it's the marine biology. So many subjects that you start getting interested. So you start learning more, right? Anything for that matter. The moment you kind of take interest to it, then you start learning more. And one way to do that is to start doing different certifications and different levels and stuff. So I did my open water, I did my advanced open water. Then there's something called EFR, that is your emergency first response. That's a fantastic course for anybody, actually, because that basically teaches you how to handle a situation if someone, for example, someone gets hurt, someone falls. It's basically you are an emergency first responder. It could mean CPR, it could mean handling a broken arm, a leg. How do you do it? And things like that. And there's a lot of science and medical science that goes into it. You can't just, someone fallen unconscious, you can't just make them drink water, for instance. So that's like a big mistake. So things like that. But we a lot of our course is regarding drowning, right? So if you find a panic diver, if you find a diver that is unresponsive in water, if he has swallowed a lot of water, so it's, yeah, of course, it's veered a little bit towards diving and water related sports. Yeah. So yeah, now it's been 2021, so it's been close to 11 years, 500 plus dives, 10 to 12 countries I've traveled. And trust me, this is not any big number. There are guys who have done, my partner, Karthik, who is also a dive instructor, has maybe traveled to 50 countries in the world, of which he would have dived in maybe 40, maybe around 4,000 dives. So, so yeah, so my numbers are not really to be going tom-tomming about, but it is what it is, right? But yeah, it's like these many years, these many dives is, for me, it's a good achievement. So yeah. Yeah, so yeah, that is, so going back, so that is what it is. It was, it was absolutely addictive. I kept going back. Every holiday started veering towards being a dive holiday, which was very unfair to my wife, but she was really supportive. And the ones that she really didn't want to come, she just let me go on my own. So that was pretty cool. That is still continuing to be pretty cool. So yeah, so that's what it was. So I kept traveling, looking for these different dive spots. You hear, you speak to, and at that point of time, and even today, there's not much of information. If someone really wants to, start looking for, if I'm a beginner, if I'm an intermediate diver, if I'm in the past maybe 3 4 years, it has definitely increased in terms of online information and people from across the world connecting to Indian divers and telling, and also realizing that Indians can dive. To be very honest, we are not the most water friendly nation. Let's face it, from day one, our parents have always been telling us, don't go next to water, stay away. And, we are not the first ones. Our parents were not the first ones to just take us and dunk us in a pool. It's very, European, Australian kind of culture. We didn't have that culture. How many of our parents really swim actively? They don't. So from there, now, the world over realize that India is the market, is a huge market. We have 1 billion people, so obviously that's big numbers for them. And we can dive. We know how to swim. We are learning how to swim. The culture is changing. So yeah, so it's good that now information is available actively. Every dive season, you get different companies from across the world contacting, saying, "Please bring your people and come." So yeah, so that is where I started. Now, yeah, so then I was just so hooked on to, diving. I wanted to stay in it. I wanted to continue doing something in it. I was not sure what I wanted to do. Now, the natural progression was, you do X, you do so many number of courses. And then what happens is you become an instructor, and then you start teaching people. And then what you do is you actually, and the only way to do that is to actually stay in an island where people are coming as tourists, and then you train and you teach them how to dive and all. But at that point of time, it was too much of a jump for me because I was at a certain age. All these are late realizations. I told you, like Sharon was saying, right, left. All that finally, all this happened when a little late, if according to my own theories. But it is what it is. So yeah, but then I kept thinking of what is the opportunity here, right? I need to be in this industry. I love talking to divers. I love being in the whole dive community. I love this industry. But for me to move to an island was just not practical at this point of time. I had a son at that point of time, so it was asking too much of my wife and son to say, "Come on, let's pack up and go to Havelock Island. I'll put him in a Bengali medium school." Nothing wrong, nothing offensive against Bengali medium, nothing, absolutely nothing. But it was just me putting my dreams and ambitions on them, and it was a little unfair. So then I realized while one of the dives, I met this a Greek instructor who was one of my instructors, who said, "Listen, Abhishek, if you're really keen, why don't you look at equipment?" And that is where I saw the opportunity, because, like I said, information was less, and with that information, there was hardly any equipment coming in. The only equipment that was actually coming in was, I love diving, and my uncle is in the US, so my uncle will send it through his cousin who is coming next week, and then that is the only way I could get quality equipment. Otherwise, you're just dependent on some dive center to give you some shoddy equipment, and that's about it. There was no options. There was absolutely no options. There were no, price points were ridiculous unless you have some uncle who's coming. And the entry level itself was too expensive. So that was a kind of a big opportunity there. And then I said, okay, fine, let me see what I can do in this. This makes sense. This was something that I could sit in Bangalore and do. So then my wife and me decided to travel to Italy, because Italy is like the motherland of all diving related equipment, purely because of their culture, especially the coastal culture. They're very big on spear fishing, which is breath hold. You take your spear gun, go down, hunt, and come back. So they're very big on that. And from there, they've evolved to scuba, and they've evolved to several other water sports, including swimming. So Cressy and SIAC are, believe it or not, 75-year-old brands. So when we got independence, they were producing diving equipment. So that's the kind of heritage that they have. These guys are both, fabulous brands, international, globally recognized. Um, these guys have their entire manufacturing unit, everything based out of Italy itself, except for some product. And they take great pride in the fact that, we are Italian, and we don't just outsource stuff to China and stuff. Uh, So yeah, so when I first got in touch with them, I sent them a mail saying, "Listen, I'm so and so. I'm a diver, and I would like to import your equipment to India." Trust me, first three mails they didn't even bother. They didn't respond. They said, "Okay, who are you? You know what? You can go to Thailand and buy it from our Thailand distributor." I said, "No, I want distribution for India," and they just didn't. So then it actually came down to this. Listen, I am coming to Genova, which is like going to the industrial town of like in Bangalore. Say it is Bommanhalli. Okay, it's purely industrial. Okay, purely industrial. Nobody goes to. People come to Bangalore to see Lal Bagh, Kaban Park, MG Road, and all of that. Nobody comes to see Bommanhalli, right?
Right.
But Bommanhalli is also important in Bangalore. I'm not saying not. But the fact is, so my wife and me said, okay, we are going to this small town called Genova, and yeah, and we had our little fellow to take, and we just traveled and we went, and especially Cressy. So SIAC at least kind of when I sent them the ticket, they knew okay, this guy really means business. He's coming. He's coming. Cressy didn't even believe me. They didn't even believe me that I'm coming. Okay, we actually got into the town next to Genova. I can't recollect the town's name, but anyway. So yeah, we stayed there, and I actually called them from the reception saying, "Listen, I'm here now. Okay, I'm here to talk business." And that is when they actually kind of woke up. They did not believe me that I would travel all this way. It was unbelievable. And then there was all the whining and dining. Okay, that's a different story. But they did not expect anyone from India to travel all that way. And this is I'm talking about 6 years back. Who is this guy who's coming to talk about diving and blah blah blah? And yeah, and after when I reached, then it was a tug of war between these brands saying, you have to meet us for dinner. No, you come meet us for breakfast. They're going to pick you up. And then it was all about me picking me up and taking me here and there and to all these fancy restaurants on cliff tops facing the ocean and stuff. I ate stuff that I don't even know what I ate. And it was the bonjour, ciao, ciao, and everybody hugging and kissing and all that. But till then, it was nothing happened. Okay. So, yeah, and that was a great experience. And then what I did, true to style, I signed both of them up. I said, listen, India needs choice at this point of time, and I'm not going to come back with one brand. So, and I think it was a good move at that point because people needed to see, price points, colors, options, and this is all available. And so I kind of took representation for both these brands and came back and kind of set up, and then named my company Aquanaut India, and we started selling equipment, started contacting the few dive centers that were there. Literally, going with one bag. My wife was amazing in this because my little fellow on one hand, one bag in one hand, literally going like sari vendors. They go open out and saying, this color is available, this size is available, this is available, and at least the what it did was suddenly people are like, oh shoot, there is equipment coming in, and this is something that you're not just buying off a catalog or a web page. This is right in front of you. So we kind of went around doing that, and it was great. And so we had the opportunity again to travel to these exotic islands and showcase all our equipment and kind of set expectation level, saying now yes, and importantly, uh, it was all very new to me. Negotiating with the Italians are not easy. We have seen all these Godfather movies, how they are. So so
Wow.
knowing nothing about the import business, and all of that, but something we cracked in. And but we had one thing in mind: we don't want Italian products at Italian prices. We want those products at our prices, which is affordable, which is and we as Indians are value for money, whether we like it or not. So yeah, so that is how the whole diving business was kind of the equipment business was set up. And then it was very nice. Like I mentioned, my partner Karthik, he was a dive instructor in Andamans for 5 years. Must have taught more than maybe 600 students with 600, 700 certifications. He came to Bangalore and said, Macha, I am here in Bangalore now. What can we do together? So I said, you know what? You're an instructor. Let's let's start teaching people. In the swimming pools. Let's start teaching them. And so we tied up with, or rather, got affiliated as a PADI dive center. Now, what is PADI? PADI is basically an American organization that gives certifications out for diving. So It's called the Professional Association of Diving Instructors. So Karthik was a PADI instructor. I was a PADI dive master. So we said, let's start doing PADI courses in Bangalore and let's see how people respond to it. So we kind of put in a little bit of money, invested in some nice new equipment, and we started marketing our courses. And believe it or not, we had such good response. Even today, we have very good response in Bangalore, especially. Um, People being in landlocked cities, their lure for the ocean is far higher, because we don't get to see the ocean that often. So everybody and this opportunity, and we are a young population, especially in Bangalore. We are a young population, mobile, adventurous population. So diving kind of came naturally to Bangaloreans. It's not like they shied away from it, and they were very open, and we're very thankful for that. So yeah, we do a lot of courses. We are a PADI 5-star rated center. So basically means that we have kept up all the PADI standards of teaching. We are safe, and we have quality instructors and all of that. It's been around 3 years since we are a PADI center, and now we're a PADI 5-star center since last year. Yeah, so what we do is introduce people. There are two ways. One is we do the entire certification course where you are taught to dive independently, never alone. I meant independently as in someone would always be diving with you, but you know what to do. There's nobody holding on to you. And in addition, we also give somebody an experience. Somebody wants to just feel what scuba diving is, what is to be weightless underwater, what it is to actually wear all that contraption and go underwater and just to breathe underwater. And we do it in a swimming pool. So if someone wants to experience that as well, we do it. So then we started. So it started with equipment. Then we started doing courses, and so the natural progression was like, okay, fine. Now that they are doing the courses, we have to take them diving, right? And the Alsur Lake is not the place to take them. So, uh, so we had to take them somewhere, and very very selfishly, I wanted to travel as well. So I said, Karthik, let's go to all the other locations too, and make our guests pay for it. So, so, so yeah. So then we started planning. So then we started planning trips. Yeah, it's been around maybe 5 years now since we have started doing trips. We have done many trips to. We have done trips to the Andamans. We have done a couple of trips to Lakshadweep, many trips to the Maldives. Maldives is just a fabulous destination, one of the world's top destinations in diving, including you guys have come on one of our trips. Some of your friends have come on our trips. Yeah, and it's great because every trip we form a new family. 1 week together, eating, sleeping, diving, eating, sleeping, diving, and it is unbelievable the kind of bonding that happens in a very strange way. Whenever you dive with a group or you dive with your buddy, you kind of trusting your life with them. Whether of course, I'm not saying that it's one dangerous sport or anything like that, but that's the kind of bond you build. And imagine 1 week, 17 dives, 16, 17 dives, you're with that one person and you're sharing stories, and then you're sharing experiences. Of course, there are some a little tricky dives, so you're taking the other one's support and all of that. And then at the end of the evening, you're all sitting together and you're talking about the same thing, and everyone has a hangover after the trip. Everyone, it's such an amazing feeling. And see, for example, just this one trip, we have there is a guy from Allahabad, there's a guy from Goa, there's a girl from Hyderabad, there's a whole family from Hyderabad. There are two Bangaloreans, in this particular photo itself. One guy from Pune. Unbelievable. And today we still have these WhatsApp chats going, and each one taking, and this is like more than a month and a half ago, people still talking about the dive trips. People still, and sometimes we need to sign out of it because we need to move on to the next group, right? We need to now move on, and then we so sheepishly have to sometimes say, okay guys, it was really lovely diving with you now, but we need to now focus and get away from the previous dive trip. But yeah, so this is what these dive trips are all about. It's all about uh, that family bonding that happens. And this is a real high for me. This is what I really do. I dive for the kind of experiences I have with people, as well as I have with underwater, of course. This is the big high for me, like I was saying. And till a couple of years back, we were doing courses, we were all, but we were missing the fact, the kind of impact that we are creating on people's lives. And that was just remarkable to really realize that, because some of the, I'm not going to name anybody here, but some of the guests here, there was somebody who was going through depression, for example, somebody who had an issue with some family stuff that was going on. And I could, there was the one moment, I'll just speak about one moment. This one person was standing on this particular island itself, just before this photo shoot. She was okay, she was just standing at the end of the island, and she just burst out. She was just crying and crying and crying and crying and crying, and I was like, what happened? What did we do wrong? And this was like at the fag end of the trip. And she was like, I can't express the joy I'm feeling inside. This is all bent up. This was all bent up, and I've never felt this happy in the past so many years. And of course, it was being it came out in tears, but it was, yeah, it was, for me, it was like, oh God, this is the kind of impact we really have. I'm not saying, and it was nothing to do with it. It was not a meditational trip or anything like that. But this is the kind of impact that, and many people come truly inspired, say, I want to do something for the ocean. I'm not even going into the conservation angle. That's a different thing why we dive. But people say, oh look, I want to get fit, as simple as that. I want to start doing more dive trips. This is what I'm done with my damn software job. I need to take these breaks. It happens, trust me. These guys who are really high stressed, people working in very high posts in software and stuff. And then to just this whole dive culture. In fact, Sharon, you reminded me to talk about this dive culture as well. You are just eating, sleeping, diving with these people. Everybody is absolutely chilled out. There's only that much you can do with nature, right? You can't push the oceans. You have to go with the flow. And that's why, if you notice my Aquanaut logo, it's a jellyfish. It's not fighting anything. It's just going with the current, right? I'm not trying. It's not a, like I say, go back to diving. You're saying it's not a competitive sport. You don't have to be, Michael Phelps to be a scuba diving. Anybody can do it. There is a average age. There's this, in this very picture itself, there's somebody who is 52. There is somebody who is 27. So the spectrum is really wide, and it can get even wider. It could be 10-year-old and a 65-year-old, right? So absolutely. So everyone dives for their own reason. So yeah, and so many people come back inspired about so many things. I had a graphic designer. She's in of this. She's like, oh my God, this is something I've never done. Now I want to do. I want to do this every 6 months, every 3 months. I want to plan something. I need to get my family involved in this. They don't know what they are missing. What is this money, money, money? So it's absolutely brilliant. Everybody goes with their own little take, with their own little story. And I love that. And for me, that is great, because the kind of impact it's having on people's lives is just, it blows us out of my. Of course, these we have to run it as a business and blah 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 and all that. But to just be one with the ocean 1 week is truly phenomenal. So yeah, so that was what it was. So basically, the full circle, like what Karthik and me call it, we said, okay, let's now doing trips. Who are going to come on these trips? People who obviously learn, and when they are learning, we say, have your own equipment. And the reason why is because when you have your own equipment, you become the most comfortable in your skin, right? So you should have your own equipment. And now with COVID, it's become even more that people are more focused on having their own equipment and stuff. Yeah, so yeah, this picture says 1,000 words to me, because each one, when I look at them, I know each one has taken back something very unique and different. And they still, people are, day before yesterday, Sandy, 2 of the 3 of these people in Hyderabad have met for drinks, and it's amazing. They don't even need us anymore. They've created a bond. That's it's great. Um, yeah. So anyway, coming back to the fact that it is still a business that we need to run. This picture, by the way, is shot by me. in an island called Hanifaru Bay, which is declared as a UNESCO biosphere. A biosphere is basically a protected region, or a biosphere rather. It's anything related to nature. It's protected and is labeled by the UN as a protected area. Is called a biosphere, UNESCO biosphere. Yeah. So this is where the largest congregation of manta rays. Manta rays, again, a shark, is a part of the shark family, but it's also a ray. Um, and the largest congregation happens there. And the reason why is because of the island and the way it is situated. What happens is a lot of plankton collection that happens in that particular, and all of them come to feed. And when I talk about all of them, I'm talking about on a good day, you're looking at around 100 to maybe even 200 manta rays, okay, in that place. And it's absolutely, what to say, harmful, sorry, harmless. It is the only harm is us in the water. Otherwise, they're just doing their thing. This is a whale shark. This picture that you see is of a whale shark. It's actually a whale, but it's also from the shark family. This is actually a juvenile. It's not even a very huge one. They can grow up to maybe 35 feet. So this one would have been around 20 feet. And this is a very good friend of mine. She's a free diver. A free diver is basically not on scuba, but just on breath hold. So you hold your breath and you go down and you spend time and you come up. Yeah. So this was just one of those lucky shots that we got. We got this. We were going for a dive. We were on the way for a dive, and suddenly the boat captain saying, "Whale shark, whale shark, whale shark, whale shark, whale shark," and we just left everything and jumped. And for our luck, see, these guys, they look very slow in the water, but they can just, one swoosh of their tail and they're gone. Okay, you can't even catch up with them. By the time you're paddling, they're gone. So this guy, because there were only 3 or 4 of us in the water, happened to just stay there and was feeding. Just kept feeding. And in between that, we were really lucky to just go down. I had to actually come up and I told her, Vaidehi, now it's time you go down, choreograph this shot. And it was just lucky. And, this is when I took this shot. And I won an award also for it. Yeah, it was very cool. I won an award for it in a dive festival that happened in Mumbai. But yeah, thanks to the whale shark that stayed. Otherwise, it's a very tough one to get because there was not much of action in the water. It kind of felt safe and it just stayed. We were there with this whale shark for around 40-45 minutes. And before that, and then the whole entire island got to know there's whale shark, whale shark. So all the resorts in and around that island starts putting people in their boats and everyone starts coming. And before you realize, there were some 200 people, no jokes, 200 people in different boats to come and see this guy. And we were there for 45 minutes uninterrupted. And nobody. And when all those boats came, we were like, okay, we are done. We got our pictures. You guys can. And then the whale shark, as usual, swam away. It's different that they chased it and all of that, but yeah. So these moments are absolutely magical. We can go on and on and on about these stories, the kind of stuff, especially the interactions that you have with them, the way you interact with them, and how safe they feel, with you is very important. So yeah. Otherwise, people would go 100 times to Hanifaru Bay and never get a shot like this or never get a moment like this. It's like you could go into the forest 20 times and never see a tiger, unless the tiger you're really lucky, and there will be one guy who's just passing by, he would have seen a tiger. So that's how it is. The ocean is absolutely the same. It's absolutely luck. So as much as we tell all our guests who come on all our trips, listen, it's fabulous. We get to see all these things, and in somewhere in our documents we say it's a probability, okay? Because it's nature. You can't control. I can't send a WhatsApp message to this whale shark saying, listen, we are there at 27th. Be there. There's so many things that affect it. The tides, the waves. There would have been a fishing boat that went in the morning and these guys just scooped.
Abhishek, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
There you
are. Share screen. Okay, guys, sincere apologies. I think Airtel bill was not paid. That's the diving business for you. all these stories, all that bill is not paid. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what happened, but anyway, yeah. So where was I? Okay, where was I? I'm really sorry that I had to cut off, but
No
yeah.
worries.
So yeah, so now going back to Aquanaut, and like I said, making business out of it. So one of the things was equipment. Then there was, of course, the trips, and yeah, and trips, and of course the courses that we do in Bangalore. So yeah, one of the things that I personally believed in, or I believe in, is the online space, and that is something that none of the dive shops, equipment sellers, as well as people who market courses have ever focused on. So that is why I was the first guy to actually have a e-commerce website that sells scuba equipment. I was the first guy to actually put scuba equipment from Amazon India, like on listed on Amazon India, on Flipkart India. Um, you could buy equipment from Amazon.com, but you could never buy it in India. Here you had, I was the first guy to list it, as well as so suddenly it builds buyer confidence, right? There's a guy sitting in Bangalore, he's just one call away. If there's any issue, I can return it, I could exchange sizing, anything. So it was great. It's a different matter that selling on Amazon is sometimes not the most profitable thing, because the only guy who makes money is Jeff Bezos. So I've decided to take him on. So I said, okay, fine, let's start Aquanaut.in, and sell equipment online. And it's always nice to put a face to it, put a local Indian guy to it, saying, listen, here I am sitting in Bangalore, I'm going to give you all this world class equipment at Indian affordable, very reasonable, if not Indian, very competitive pricing. So you look at the American pricing, you look at my pricing, I'm still going to be very competitive. So that was a challenge. It was a huge learning. We continue to learn. My wife helped me a lot in the whole pricing and all of that, because she's the brains in the family. But yeah, so we're still figuring it out. Of course, there are a lot of import laws and which keep changing, duties, taxes, blah blah blah. The boring bit, but anyway, we cracked it. We're still doing it, right? We're doing it here. And but what is happening is that we were limited. I was limited in terms of, though I have this kind of vision that the online space is really going to take off in all adventure sports, not just diving. People are going to be looking for information, people are going to be looking for equipment, experiences are also going to be marketed through online, right? So and online is a space that you can reach out to all corners of India, all corners of India, all corners of the world, especially. So like I take great pride in the fact that I get orders from Chhattisgarh. Somebody has ordered a scuba mask in Chhattisgarh. Somebody has ordered something in Nagaland. I don't even know what they're doing. I remember once a doctor ordered a scuba mask from me, and sometimes you get these wrong orders also. So during COVID, I got an order. Interesting story. I got an order from this guy who from Nagaland or Manipur, one of these states. I don't remember exactly. And doctors were looking at scuba masks as one of the masks that they can wear, because it's kind of covers their nose pocket, and on top of that they can wear a mask and all of that. So I was not sure, so I called him up and I said, and this is an expensive mask, 6,000 rupees mask. So sometimes even I hesitate to send these products out to these, because what if it is just a dummy order and it comes back damaged and all of that. So I just picked up the phone and said, listen, hi, I'm so and so, I'm selling on Amazon, blah blah blah. You ordered this Cressy mask, yeah, what's the story? Where where are you planning to dive? He's like, are you using it for any medical purposes? Because it may not be the most effective. So I was speaking to him and he says, no, I'm a scuba diver, yeah. And the reason why I'm ordering it is because we have floods. So sometimes to get some stuff, or to cross the river and all that, I need this mask. I was like, okay, sorry, your stuff. So we underestimate people as well, right? So this is how people are buying and people are looking for options. Imagine that guy didn't have an option till maybe 2 years back, till I really listed and marketed it. he didn't have an option. He would have had to do with some homemade kind of a thing that he would have had some contraption he would have had to make. So yeah, so it's and so I believe that the online space is something that is constantly evolving. You guys know better than me that the scalability of the online experience, the scalability of sales as such is phenomenal compared to your brick and mortar normal stores. And yeah, and if we can replicate that experience, then the sky is the limit. So which is why I'm very proud to have associated with Red, because Sharan and team come in with phenomenal experience in the whole online space. So I'm just going to bank on them. I'm going to come in with the whole experience of diving and what it brings to people, what it changes, people's perceptions of the oceans, and I'll bring all of that. I'll bring an expertise in equipment because I've been diving for a while. I kind of learned some things on the way. But what I'm going to really be really proud of is the fact that we have tied up, and now if we can really bring all of this onto one simple domain, aquanaut.in, and if we can expand it to the whole world, that would just be phenomenal. And then we're going to take on the Jeff Bezos of the world. Why not? Yeah. So and again, it's not limiting just to diving. Why limit it only to diving? It could be all water sports. Like I said, it would be kayaking. The number of people who are actually kayaking at the moment, number of people who are going surfing festivals that are happening. Whoever thought India would have surf festivals where people from across the world come to Tamil Nadu, come to Mangalore, and you have surf clubs and you have all of that. And it's happening. It's happening. India is the place. And we need to literally ride that wave, that tide, whatever you want to call it. And this is the future, the online space, but not forgetting the fact that we still need to give that brilliant experience that people go back with. It's not just transactional. We have to bridge that gap between that emotional exhilaration that people have, as well as the fact that we are able to transact with them on a very nice level, which is to sell them equipment, world class stuff, world class experiences. And that's going to be challenging. It's not easy. It's something that nobody has done yet. I'm sure there are people thinking on those same lines like we do, but nobody has done it yet. So we should. So I see that as a future. And if we can connect dive operators across the world, if we can connect dive operators across India, everybody is sitting in these remote islands saying, come to us. And then we have to go to make my trip. And then he will to make my trip will take you by bus, and then he will take you wait one night in one lodge, and the next day it is breakfast at this region, then sightseeing in this particular island, and then uske baad 8 baje bus niklega sir, bus pe chढ़ो नहीं तो आप छूट जाएंगे, and then tomorrow morning हमारा deep sea diving है आधा घंटे के लिए, उसके बाद नारियल पानी पीना है. We are not going to do that. Okay, we are going to do it really exclusive is what my vision is. And the audience are looking for these experiences. It's not like everybody is just looking for nariyal pani and deep sea diving for half an hour, right? So everybody are looking for really unique specialized kind of experiences. So yeah, so that's where I'm going to leave it at, because now is where we are really hoping to scale this up and reach to a wider audiences. And I'm going to stress on this, that I really want if I can really touch more people, and it makes Aquanaut really proud that it's somewhere at some level we are able to change people's lives. Not any big marketing jargon or not any big thing, but it did for me. It has done for a lot of people. I've seen it happen. I've seen the process. So I think that's will happen. Business transactions, valuation will happen. So thank you so much, guys. This was my story and the way forward. Now, any questions? You just pointed to Sharan because he's going to take it from here.
Does anybody really have questions? Please jump in.
No questions. Everybody's left, Sharan. What? Only you and me are sitting here.
Yeah, Jay, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, I just want to ask one small question. How do you overcome the fear of diving?
How do you overcome the fear? What is your fear? What will happen to you?
So I'll tell you a small experience of mine.
Sure, go ahead.
So so I think like 2 3 years back I went to Bali and I thought, okay, I wanted to have that zindagi na milegi dobara feel. So I have this fear of water. So I whenever I go to beaches or something, I just stay. I just stay on the shores. I don't go on like I don't go inside the water. So I just want to ask, like, how do you overcome that fear? Like, how do you like? So I when I went, so the same thing. They gave us like the 15 minutes of training, and there's like, okay, this is for okay, this is for jump, and so all that basic stuff. And then they took us in a boat, and then he told me to like jump inside the water. I was like too scared, and so I don't know. I just went in, and I don't know. I couldn't take that pressure, so I just came out. So how do you overcome that fear? I always have this fear like of getting inside the water.
So don't beat yourself, Ajay. It happens to the best of us. It was not like I just took to it naturally and I was like a dolphin. I still am not. I'm still like one big manatee in the water. So that's a different thing. Okay, so fear is natural. So when you have fear, it just shows that you're alert and that you're not being brash. It's absolutely fine to have any kind of fear. But you will also have to understand that this is a sport that you should not fight it. Okay, you have to go with the flow. Nothing. You have good qualified instructors who have seen hundreds of people like you. So Ajay, don't worry. It happens to the best of us. Okay, it happens to the best of us. There's nothing to beat yourself about. But don't give up. Don't give up. I'm saying just get back to it. What you should do is come with us for a swimming pool session. Okay, so that is what we really help in. Not everybody is just comfortable diving, getting on a boat and going into the middle of the ocean and just jumping off. And your fears were completely understandable. So what we do in Bangalore, when we do a swimming pool session, you see the bottom of the pool, you see everything, and then you realize, oh, there's nothing to really worry about. And it's not intimidating conditions where the waves are smashing into you, the boat is rocky, you're already feeling a bit seasick. So all of that is taken out of the equation. So come with us, do a nice session in a swimming pool, and once you finish that 20-minute session with us in a swimming pool, then you realize, oh, this is it. Now I can do it. I can do it. I know how the equipment works. I know when I go down I will get air. It's not like I will stop breathing or anything like that. So it happens. So what I would suggest for someone like you is just do a simple 20-minute, 25-minute session with us. We would pretty much do the same thing what they did in Bali. But when you do it in a what we call a confined environment, it is so much more reassuring and comforting. So come with us, Ajay. This is an open invitation. Come with us on one of our sessions. Just come, try it out, and then tell me whether you'll be. You might just say, "Listen, Abhishek, let's sign up for the course."
I'll definitely do that because I really want to experience that.
See, that's it. That's it. Everybody wants to do it. So it's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Come do a little session with us in the swimming pool, and then you'll be absolutely fine. You'll be fine. Don't worry.
Sure, sure. Thanks, Abhishek.
No worries, man.
Cool. So, Shekie, thanks a lot for sharing all these stories.
Anything else?
Serious. Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I only heard thanks a lot, thanks a lot, thanks a lot. Yeah. Yeah, it was an absolute pleasure, man. I just went yakety yak on you guys. So I don't know. Thank you for being patient and hearing me out.
It was fantastic.
Uh, yeah, so I hope so. I hope so. My whole thing is, listen, Sharon, now that we are on board, we are together. I know you have Roseanne, who's already a certified diver, but I think our first goal should be to get everyone of Red and Aquanaut to be, to dive together.
Done.
I think, and once we do that, and once people really feel that what I'm feeling, then I think half our job is done. After that, they will take it forward to the world. I seriously believe that. I seriously believe that. Yeah, but thank you so much for this platform. I truly enjoyed myself. Thank you guys, and keep me posted. Like I was telling Preeti, keep me posted. I want to hear more speakers as well. This is a superb learning platform.
Well, thank you, Shekie, for doing this. This was amazing. The stories were just out of this world.
And this is not even with beers, so imagine the ones that come. Yeah, but anyway, thanks, guys. Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. This was
Thank
a
you.
lot of fun.
Very
And all
nice.
the best, and all the best to all of us. Yeah.
Absolutely. And watch out for
All
next session next month.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. Experience Fridays. Yes. Thank you, guys. Good night, and cheers. Bye, bye, bye.
Thank you all. Cheers.